Welcome to the DesignCast, where we talk about all things design. I'm Stephen Underwood, a student graphic designer and photographer from the UK. Every Friday we will bring you the latest news in the design world, answer your questions, and even interview designers and the like right here. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts or watch us on our YouTube channel, the DesignCast podcast. So no video today, sadly, on our YouTube channel. You can listen on YouTube, but you just won't see me today. I'm not feeling amazing, but I thought I'd still contribute to this week. Sorry if you can hear a little bit of background noise. I have a very noisy cat in the background in today's episode. So our main topic for today is going to be talking about how creativity is important to design and the design world. So creativity is one of those really key things you need anything to do with design, photography, art, graphics, anything like that. You really need to be creative. But it also comes into being a creative person as well. Sorry, I'm just having a drink, just bear with me. So it also comes into being a creative person as well. So if you're not a creative person, you're not going to fit into the creative industry, basically. So, for example, in art, it's about expressing your feelings in a creative way. That's sort of almost a definition of art, I guess. And art is sort of expressing yourself a bit more, expressing yourself in a creative way. Then graphics is sort of doing it for a reason, so sort of solving a problem maybe, or expressing a problem in a way to solve a problem, I guess. That's the problem. To solve a problem in a creative way, that's the best way to describe it. Then for photography, it's sort of similar to graphics, I guess, in the way that it's sort of in between, I guess, between graphics and art. It's sort of expressing yourself in a formal way, I guess you could say. It depends what sort of photo it is, in a way to express mood and things like that. Basically, you see where I'm going with this. They all have to have some sort of creative person or creative idea to create something interesting. So the actual I can't talk today. The actual definition of being creative is relating to or involving the use of the imagination or original ideas to create something. So the key thing I want to point out there is original ideas. So those ideas are unique to you generally. Obviously you can get inspiration from other artists, photographers, designers to get original ideas or to form original ideas. And now I admit I'm one of those people, and I know all designers, artists and creative people do this. We will almost, it's really the sort of secret behind the industry of creativity is sort of stealing other people's idea, and without even sort of I can't think of the right word, but without sort of even realizing you're doing it, you are sort of automatically stealing other people's ideas. And that is basically how creativity sort of thrives and survives, really. So when you're trying to work on a project or stay motivated, which is a completely different thing that we can come on to in another episode, the creativity is what drives all of that. It's sort of how you let your passion out and everything sort of gets involved in that. And I guess also sort of how you come to fruition with sort of your hobbies and likes within art, design, photography, things like that. And when you use your creativity, which is what really drives you, it's where that unique and sort of individual aspect comes in. And as I was saying earlier on, as creatives, I think a lot of us are known to sort of pick other people's ideas up, sort of self-consciously, that's the word I'm thinking of, self-consciously sort of take it on and then use that. You know, we are, without knowing it, self-consciously stealing ideas from everywhere, whether you're a creative or not. So literally everywhere you look, you are taking in petabytes and megabytes and gigabytes of data through your eyes. Not sort of technical data like a hard drive on a computer or anything like that. I mean, you are literally taking in stuff through your ears, your eyes, your senses, basically. And as creative people, we have a special way of sort of picking it up and sort of almost recycling it. If you're not really a creative person, I guess you're sort of a level down from it. I'm not sort of trying to downplay people's personalities and attitudes. I think what I'm trying to say is that when you're creative, it's sort of almost a gift in that respect, that you can sort of turn things around and create things from scratch or from recycling other things. But without realising it, our ideas aren't always unique, but I think that's what makes it unique. I'm not talking about plagiarism here, I'm talking about how we get our ideas and how we use them efficiently to create designs, photos, music, whatever it is, design, creative passions, hobbies, drawings, whatever it is. We really sort of churn our sort of brain and rack all our ideas together that we've picked out from different experiences or moments or pictures or things in time that sort of remind us. So for example, if you go to a theme park and you go down a water slide, you've got all the water splashing through your face, you hear the sounds of people screaming, all those sort of things, and then a few years down the line you might decide, I don't know, you're going to do a really expressive painting about water or something like that. It sounds really weird, but just hear me out. And then you're sort of using those sort of experiences you've had already, I guess I'm trying to say. And also, you know, if I've been to a theatre, let's say, and I've seen 20 musicals in my lifetime, and then a theatre company comes to me and say they want me to design a poster about life in the theatre or something like that. I've got that experience, I've got the things that I've pulled in from my experiences, which is part of being creative and really unpicking it creatively and reusing it for a better purpose. So I guess what I'm trying to say in a nutshell probably sounds almost a bit like a splurt, like I've just sort of let all the words jumble out of my brain into this podcast. So I guess what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is things we experience and take in from life, especially as creative people, have a good way of recycling it or reusing it or creating new, unique ideas from experiences. But it's not just experiences. I'm just going to have a drink. Hold on one sec. It's not just experiences where we get our ideas from. I think it's also, I guess it's just sort of life in general, just things we look at, things we see, we smell. So like, I don't know, if you're an avid cook or you're a baker or whatever, you go into that bakery and you'd recognise the smell of fresh bread. Or if you're going shopping in Sainsbury's and there's a sushi aisle, you would smell that sushi and it brings back, I don't know, childhood memories of going down the sushi shop every day. Things like that. It's sort of, and that's how I think, especially with art, how people sort of express their feelings and memories, probably more in art than things like design. Because design is very specific in the way it's created, in that it's sort of set up or created from a task or prompt or a brief or a person or a thing, rather than just coming up with an idea. But let's try and come back to the main point here, which is why creativity is important. Now, I'm a really passionate advocate for creativity, and especially trying to help those people who aren't as creative as me, because I sort of almost feel sorry for them. Because like I was saying earlier, I think creativity is one of those things that's almost a gift that some of us in this world have, and this is probably going quite deep now and meaningful, but I really think creativity is what makes life move forward and survive. Because if you imagine a world with no art, no photography, no design, no colour, no inventions, nothing like that, we'd really struggle. However, if you look back in history, we've got things like the cavemen, Victorians, and they would use limited things of this. You know, photography in the old days was, you know, put a cloth over your head with a sort of, I can't think of the exact name, but a special sort of wooden box, effectively, with some sort of lens, and then you press a puller thing and it would make a big flash in front of everyone's face, like a bolt of lightning sort of thing. Not that I know the specifics on it, I should do really as a photographer. But I think if you think how much we progressed, without creativity and unique ideas, or ideas developed together, we wouldn't be that good, I don't think, as a society or living life. But I think what really is key to creativity is each other, because if we don't have each other, other experiences, other things, objects, places, people, topics, themes, food, whatever it is, if we don't have those things in our life, we've got nowhere to get our creativity, imagination, or ideas from. For example, if you look at inventors in the past, I know we're going a little bit off topic here. So, for example, the avid smartphone users out there will definitely know that, well, not even particularly avid smartphone users, everyone on this planet most likely has a smartphone in this current time. And if you think 20, 30 years ago, maybe 40 years ago now, depending on when you're listening to this podcast, if you're listening to it in, I don't know, 50 years' time, and it's still on the internet, or maybe it's not the internet by this point, if 20, 30, 40, 50 years time, no, in the past, sorry, there weren't mobile phones, there was red telephone boxes you'd go to every week to call your parents. If you think how far we've moved on, that's come from one important thing. The inventor, yes, the person who came up with the idea of mobile telephones, same with light bulbs, and every piece of technology and thing in this world has been invented in one way or another. And that's come from creativity. Because without creativity, we wouldn't have these things in our life. You wouldn't be able to look at a mobile phone screen. It wouldn't be a thing. There's obviously things like scientists and doctors and people who have looked into things like medicine, done research. That's slightly different, but without the creative mindset or creative minds behind technology and other things, we wouldn't be able to progress in that respect. So I think, again, I really apologise if this podcast is sort of just splurting out from my brain. I think I'm just sort of trying to get all of it out there. What I'm trying to say is, without creativity, we wouldn't be where we are today, and I think that really is, without even realising it, the sort of seeds and sort of thread to sew our sort of lives together. I know it sounds really deep and meaningful, but I honestly believe that. And like I was saying earlier, I feel sorry for those who can't quite experience creativity the same, but I think without even realising it, we're all creative in our own unique ways, which is what makes us unique. So going back to the original point, because I feel we've gone very sidetracked here, I think everyone's creative in their own way, and creativity is what holds society together, and that is why it's so important to make sure that we keep it and it's here to stay. So, thanks for tuning in, and I hope it wasn't too meaningful today. Sorry if it sounded a bit like my ideas just put out in this podcast. I think that's how a lot of my episodes are starting to go now, but I think it's quite good that you sort of just get to hear things from my point of view, especially in design and creativity. So you can visit our website at thedesignCastpodcast.com and send your questions in, especially if they're about creativity or any topic, to be honest. Obviously, I'm not an expert, but if it's to do with design, architecture, photography, anything creative, send them in and I'll try and answer them as best as possible on the podcast. So if you want to send them in, that's thedesignCastpodcast@gmail.com. So you can email them into us at thedesignCastpodcast@gmail.com. So thanks very much for listening or watching. Okay, we've not had a camera today, but if you're listening on YouTube, you are a saint for listening to a still image for 14 minutes. So thanks for listening or watching, and I'll see you in the next one.